So the Menendez, I was always like, look, whatever you want to say about them, they don't pose a danger to me, my children, or society at large. And there are plenty of people who pushed plenty of people onto subway tracks that got out of prison a lot faster than the Menendez did.
And then we'll go to your joke, which
Yes,
I've told
sorry.
a million times. But that's what was so frustrating last week about the parole hearing. I mean, the first guy who came out, mind you, Barton, who's the parole commissioner, is the same guy who found Sirhan was suitable for parole.
Right.
And for whatever you say, I think this guy is an ex-Kern County DA. So you can figure the
How old is he that he thought? Well, Sirhan was in for a long time.
He's been in for a long time. But I always thought this guy is so Machiavellian. He wants to screw with Gavin Newsom. He wants to force Gavin Newsom to have to reverse his decision to find this guy suitable, and which he did. And now he comes out of the box, and all he wants to talk about with Eric is, didn't you burglarize your neighbor's garage when you were 17 before your parents? And it's like, what? What are we talking about? This is Eric Menendez, who has had no hope whatsoever since 2005, started a hospice program, which I've seen with my own eyes down in R.J. Donovan prison.
Is that towards San Diego or in San Diego?
Yeah, it's right. It's by the border. It's in San Diego, where you see the young guys pushing around the old guys who are there because we locked up everybody. You see the guide dog units. You see Lyle in the green space. And this guy's talking about what did Eric do when he was 17, and that his cell phone use, because he's been busted once or twice for a cell phone, that shows criminal mindset.
Right.
And it's like, wait, we're going to house this kid, now a kid, he's 50-something, and we're going to say, no, you got to stay in for another year before you have another parole hearing because of a cell phone, even though you've been a model inmate for over a decade, and Lyle's been a model inmate for over a decade. That's the dangerousness. That's who we need to put in there. And now I'm going to let you tell you the joke. It's my favorite joke. I've used this. I can't tell you how many times.
I said, if Natalia walked into Sonny's room, if my one twin walked in my other twin's room and said, I'm thinking about killing mom and dad on Sunday, and my son looked up and said, this Sunday or next Sunday, that would mean we were horrible parents.
Exactly right. You would know something's going on. And by the way, who are you afraid? Who are they a future dangerousness to? Are they somebody going to adopt them? I mean, give me a break.
Well, okay, so adopt them. So that'd be a funny sitcom. But okay, here's what I wanted to say. I have two rules or two thoughts. One is, does the person pose a danger to society at large when they get out? That's one box. The other box is, have they been punished sufficiently? Because it's not enough just to say, well, this guy embezzled $10 million from investors, but he just didn't embezzle my money and he's not going to embezzle again. No, there has to be a punitive part of what he did. And so once the guy embezzles $10 million, once that guy gets 6 years in prison, then he gets out because it's like, well, he's done enough. There's been enough punishment meted out for what he did. And that's sort of understood. So for me, I got to look at both. So the Menendez, 1 to 10 in terms of 10 being best, not putting their hands on other citizens or random acts of crime or any criminality, I give it a 10. I'm certain that there'll be no more crime coming from them. Then you have to get into have they paid their debt to society? And you go, I don't know, what's the average time a first offender spends in prison before getting paroled? What's the maximum someone has ever spent? What's the least? As we know, Dominic Dunn's daughter was choked out in cold blood, high noon, in a driveway by hand, literally throttled, killed by this guy. The guy did, 41 months or something, went to Seattle, became a chef. Yeah. I mean, like, literally took, like, his 18-year-old girlfriend, choked the life out of her, killed her.
And out.
And out. All right. So what I'm saying is then I'd go, that guy, well, he got 42 months or whatever it is. And then I'll go, all right, well, there's some old black guy who was in there for 70 years. Okay, all right. So now what's the average? Like, I mean, a first-time offender would get for whatever.
I'll even drill down more. I believe that for a first degree in California, even in because you have to understand, when we were growing up in the 90s, all of a sudden it became 3 strikes and lock them up, and that's when we were building prisons and that whole don't touch the third rail of crime, kind of where we're going to right now again. Right. But 20-something years was the average. Mm-hmm. These guys are well over 70% over that.
Right. So with that in mind, according to my only 2 calculations, are you going to kill somebody else or do some more criminality, and have you been punished enough? A resounding yes to both, and they can go home.
And on your scale, 1 to 10, I can't imagine. Give me somebody who's less likely to recommit the target crime than these 2.
No, it doesn't statistically. It doesn't exist. So
it does not, and you're very right. There are studies on this, and it does not happen.
Right. So now you have. Well, also, I mean, you have to kind of think about it. Like, if you are a murderer, like there is a guy, the guy who killed Ray Caruth's pregnant girlfriend. That guy was just a guy. And Ray Caruth, who was a wide receiver for the Panthers, said to this guy, I'll give you $5,000. And when me and my 9-month pregnant girlfriend, who's 26, when we're driving home from the movies, I'm just going to stop at this stoplight, and then you just get out and you just spray bullets at her so we can get on with our lives. And that guy was like, okay, which intersection are we at? And it was like, all right, for $5,000. Now, that guy could do anything at that point. He can pump a girl who is 9 months pregnant, full of gunshots, who's in her 20s, who he's never met, done nothing to him for literally a nominal amount, but $3,500, $5,000, you get it, right? So that guy is dangerous to me. The Menendez.
And by the way, that guy, they'll give a benefit to, prosecutors will, in order to get the guy who hired him. I mean, that's the frightening thing. I've never understood that. That is unbelievable to me. I've sat in courts so many times and said, wait a second, if we're talking about stone cold, it's one thing a step removed to pay somebody where you don't get your hands dirty, but how about the guy who does it is what you're saying.
Now, the end of that story is the mother died, but the baby was born severely impaired and then became 18. And then Ray Caruth got out of prison and said, I'm legally that guy's dad, and I serve my debt, and I want to be reunited with him. I don't know how much crazier than you get than that story. Right. Okay. Now, these guys, and I don't think people, I don't know, I'm not joking. These guys killed their parents, and they killed them for reasons that are debatable, but the reason that can't be denied is both people decided mom and dad should be dead. Those kind of killers are not contract killers or gun-for-hire killers or crazy people pushing people onto the subway tracks. They're people that have a very specific killing instance. They're not killers. They're killers of family members for specific reasons. And I don't think those people pose the same
threat.
Well, listen. If you as a human being can pull a trigger with a gun pointed at somebody and are capable of taking someone's lives, then you're in a category that at least suggests you're capable of taking a life. We have to admit that. But
Correct.
if it's and like the aforementioned Sonny, I don't think he's capable of doing it regardless of what kind of abuse he was meted out at him or whatever. Like there's some people that couldn't ever make it into that category. They can make it into that category, but within that category, let's not confuse him with the gun for hire for Ray Caruth's girlfriend, because that guy can kill anyone on any given Saturday.
For all you can eat at the
Golden Corral. Right.
And one of the things that was chilling to me is when we did the resentencing hearing back in May, I put family members on. We were in front of Judge Jessic, who I've known since he was a prosecutor, one of the great judges in town. And we put on 3 family members who had gone to the house and were so appalled by a number of things. Number one was the hallway rule. Kitty enforced what was called the hallway rule. If Jose was down the hall with one of his sons, you were not allowed to go down the hall.
Right.
Now that's just.
It can't exist in a smoke form without a fire form.
Correct.
It's so bizarre.
Exactly. And they were complaining about it in real time. I don't want to go back to that house. There's weird things going on. That's number one. Number two, the older sister of Kitty, because every time everybody always defaults to why Kitty? Why'd they reload with Kitty? I would say, well, number one, the only way you know that they reloaded is Lyle testified to it at the trial. It's not like there was a video there. He testified. He was honest about it. And Kitty's older sister, Joan, has testified not once, not twice, but 3 times under oath that she wants them out before she dies. She's 93 years old. And she understands, and she's, talk about this isn't me, this is her. She says, my sister should have done more to stop what was happening in that house. That's the older sister of Kitty. Mind you, the older sister of Jose loved Jose. It's my baby brother. But she wants them out. So everybody who's seizing the moral high ground saying, well, they killed their parents, they should never get out, or this, that, the entire family, every living member wants them out.
Were there 2 shotguns?
Yes.
I was just talking about this the other day with somebody, and I realized I'd never really thought about it. There are 2 triggermen, essentially.
Yeah, and they were there, and they testified to it. And I was just talking with your guys here beforehand. They were saying, well, what happened? And I said, well, clearly what happened. They were saying, did Eric Garcetti's dad, Gil Garcetti, he was the DA then. He was in a fight for his life. Couldn't win the big one, was the big knock on him in the 90s as the LA DA.
OJ stuff,
8 days after OJ. 8 days after OJ was acquitted, their second trial started. Mind you, their first trial, 2 juries, half of the jurors for Lyle, half of the jurors for Eric found them not guilty of murder and wanted manslaughter. Mm-hmm. Clearly down gender lines. All the women voted for manslaughter, all the men for murder.
Huh.
Isn't that wild?
Mm-hmm.
Second trial, 1 jury, all the rulings change, no cameras in the courtroom. 8 days after OJ, evidence starts, and it's a whole different ballgame.
So how much of this, I was talking to Mike August about it, and he thought some of this was a Newsom thing, like running for president, doesn't want it to get to his desk. I don't know. Like, how much of this is politics? Well,
I will tell you, I think Hochman, who's the current DA, I think he's playing politics. I made the prediction. I think he just won DA against Gascon. I think he plans on running for Attorney General in 2026 against Rob Bonta. And I think this is what he thinks this is a winning issue.
Right. And so he ran on Law and Order.
Correct.
And so,
I'm not going to be Gascon. Gascon wanted him out. Boom.
Right. So unfortunately, timing is playing into this quite a bit. In that you have a guy who goes, I'm all about Law and Order. And so if you're all about Law and Order and you have a high-profile case, then you can't let those guys out if that's your claim, and especially if you're running for another office.
And by the way, also starting to get the knock, like Gil Garcetti, which is very astute of your crew here, lost ASAP Rocky, lost the resentencing of the Menendez brothers, starting to get the rap he can't win the big one. So he doesn't want to be Gil Garcetti. He's going to be tough and go up there and do whatever. But it's up to the governor now. I mean, it's in his lap. It's also up to the judge, Judge Ryan, who's here in L.A. County, who's one of the great judges in the L.A. Superior Court. It's up to him. He's issued the habeas. So we still have two pathways here.
So can Newsom pardon them? Is that what you're saying?
He can give him clemency, which he should do. And everybody keeps telling me Newsom's not going to do it. He's going to run for president. We don't have to relitigate the 2013 Crystal Brain interview, sitting not at this table, but
one like it.
One like it.
Yeah. So the thing that worries me about Newsom and the Menendez boys is I don't think there's anything Newsom will or won't do out of the whatever's good or cosmically right. I think everything's a calculation, and he's decided to run for president, and every move he's going to make is going to be to fulfill that dream of becoming president, and everything's a calculation. And the problem with it's sort of like network attorneys. Network attorneys only say no because there's nothing in it for them to ever say yes. So they just go no.
Right.
And you go, why? Why can't we do whatever? And the answer is because if I say yes, I could get fired. But if I say no, I'll never get fired. There's just nothing in it for me to ever say yes. And in a weird way, that's kind of Menendez and the DA and the governor of like what's in it for them versus some potential downside. And unfortunately, that's a calculus.
It should be due process. You should be able to say, look, and I've said this and argued it, once again, invoking Judge Jessic. One of the things he said when resentencing them is what really moved him were letters from correctional officers who live with these guys, who said, if they could come out right now, I'd let them live next door to me. I got no problem with it. And by the way, correctional officers want people to have an incentive, right? Because the last thing you want is, I'm never getting out of here. I got no hope. I'm going to go crazy and shank you.
Right. I at this point, I really don't think there's any part of this that falls under the heading of pragmatism or numbers or calculations. It's just all about the system and politics and the sad part of our society.
It really is.
It's not even really about what's right or what's wrong or have they paid their debt or how did their family feel or how do the guards feel. It's just literally a calculation made by politicians for the next election.
And it really is infuriating in a way because why? Why wouldn't you? You know what these guys are going to do? It's clear to me what they would do. If you let Eric and Lyle out tomorrow, if he gives them clemency tomorrow, Eric, what is Eric going to do? You know, he's going to continue to work on the hospice program in the prisons. That's what he knows. He's been doing it for 10 years. He's going to expand it. Is that not a good thing? And Lyle he's come up with this green space program. Like I said, I've been to R.J. Donovan. It's an amazing thing, the mural and everything they're doing there. Don't we want to? I mean, 90 whatever percent of prisoners are going to get out. I want them to thrive when they get out. I don't want them to recidivate.
Right. Well, that is, unthinkable that they would get busted robbing a liquor store, 2 days after that. And we're in some weird, but you're sort of that with the city and the state. Like, I remember when I was remodeling a house a million years ago, my first home up in the Hollywood Hills, and it was literally 85 steps from the street to my front door. Like, it's a long, winding stairway hill home. And I was remodeling it, and at some point, I blew out the wall in the bathroom downstairs or whatever, and the building inspector came by, and he said, well, you can't replace the old 30-inch door. You have to replace it with a 32-inch door. And I knew the code, and I said, yeah. Why? Why does it have to be 32 inches? And he goes, wheelchair access. And I said, do you think there's any possible way someone in a wheelchair can get the 86 stairs up to this doorway? It needs to be 32 inches. I said, for what? Wheelchair. I said, right. There's nobody who could visit this house or be in this home who is confined to a wheelchair. It's an
impossibility.
Right. You might as well live on top of Pikes Peak in a wheelchair. I said, it's not going to happen. Yeah, but that's the code, And so you deal with that.
Right.
And
Just
this
you
is
outsource any kind of practicality.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a version of this is we always have done it this way, or it's just a lazy way of thinking. You don't have to really engage when you say it that way.
Well, so there's a part where, there's a part where you have, and I don't know what this is and what people have with it, but there's like an empathy part where like I'd go, so I got to blow out this whole wall now and to get 2 more inches so that hypothetically someone with a wheelchair could get up there and they go, call me when you're done, and they leave. You know what I mean? And like I'd be racked with guilt if I was that guy. I would never do it because I'd put myself in their position. Like if I were whoever the DA or whoever the judge, or not the judge in this case, but Newsom, like I'd be going, I'm having trouble sleeping at night knowing these 2 guys in their 50s are spending another night in a cot with a cement ceiling.
And they've got a 93-year-old woman who's Kitty's sister and a 80-something woman who's Jose's sister who just battled, both of them with health battles. What if they wake up? They don't wake up. I mean, God forbid it's going to happen. And these guys are still in custody because there's some other calculation that's going on?
But drive me nuts.